one of the biggest world's advisory services, that's PwC, says that innovative strategies, adaptability, and social responsibility are key elements of today's real estate industry. But my guest on this tonight is an accomplished real estate investor and professional, Dr. Daniel Moses. He's an author of 2 books and is looking to achieve a real estate portfolio of 100 million British pounds in the next 10 years. I'm talking to the millionaire here. Moses, the CEO at Property Wealth Corporation, and he joins me live from Abuja studios. Great having you here tonight. It's an honor having to speak to you from Lagos. You're in Abuja, here in Nigeria.
Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure.
Talk to me. Let's talk about money. I love the whiff of money. And just looking at your profile, I saw you've done property investment, real estate investment, trust, and all that. But when you talk about property investment strategies and wealth creation, an expert in the United Kingdom, what advice would you have for countries such as Nigeria, where we're looking to enthrone a well-developed real estate industry or market?
I think, first of all, it's very, very important for Nigerians to understand that currency is, the word currency comes from flow. If you look at currency itself, when it moves from one position to the other, or from one person to the other, from one business to the other, it flows, and then through that, we're actually enriched. So it's very, very important that Nigerians need to start seeing currency as something that flows, not something that is being stored. Because one of my very core principles is that money is a piece of paper. It becomes, a currency when it flows from one place to other. If you do not utilize currency, it's stocked. But when it flows, wealth is created. I think at this point in time, Nigerians just need to understand that wealth is created. Wealth is not stock. It needs to move. It just needs to keep moving. And as long as Nigerian and entrepreneurs understand this in Africa, that it's not for storage, it's for the ability to it to move and to create and to keep recreating itself and to keep recirculating, Nigeria will be in a position to create more wealth.
Well, you're looking at economically disadvantaged countries, but again, how can these countries in Africa, sub-Saharan Africa in the main, leverage their international relationships to create wealth through real estate investments and, as you say, money moves? If you look at, for example, the UAE, Dubai, for example.
There are a lot of core principles that needs to be applied when it comes to creating wealth through real estate. First of all, Nigeria needs to go back to its basics to create, a reputable business environment. We need to create a credible, business environment for our entrepreneurs. I mean, I'm Nigeria. I live in the United Kingdom. At every given point in time, when you become successful in the international community, you have to keep defending the fact that you're Nigerian in the first place. You have to keep saying, okay, I'm Nigerian, but I'm different. I'm Nigerian, I want to do better. I think we have to just go back to the core principles and basics. We need to think about reputation, we need to think about credibility, because once we have reputation, once we have credibility, the international community is always open to doing business. I'm someone that over the last 7 years alone, I took these core principles very, very seriously. And I said, you know what? I need to build my base. I need to build my business based on credibility. I need to build my business based on integrity. So once we apply these things as African, whether we're deprived or not, credibility needs to be back on the foundation. Until we actually put this together, that we need to be credible, we need to have integrity, we need to be able to show, the international community that we're ready for business. Because when you're Nigerian and when you're in the international community, one of the core things they talk about is how credible are we? What is the reputation foundation? Until we have these things, you see, creating wealth is not overnight, but we just need to understand that we need to go back to the core principles, build credibility, have integrity, and at least stand for something. And that is one of the things that will report back to us as Nigerian, or a deprived, global economy that is basically not doing great well, to be able to go back and play on international level.
But again, we want to attract foreign investments into economies such as Nigeria, into the real estate sector. Of course, oftentimes it talks about oil and gas, but real estate, I'm sure, is a gold still under the ground, as it were, for a country such as Nigeria. So are there strategies that can tap folks like yourself with diaspora deep pockets in pound sterling, whatever currencies are there, to come back home or be part of the real estate renaissance in Nigeria?
I'll break this down in 3 very simple steps. Number 1 is that governments needs to implement policies that are very simple. They're not too, I think one of the things that, Africa, for example, Nigeria, the processes are too long. We need to make it short. Doing business internationally, systems and processes are there that simplifies the process and make it less bogus. Once we get our policies right, the next thing is that Nigeria needs to promote itself a bit more. It needs to make it more attractable. It needs to make it very, very attractive for Nigerians in the diaspora, international buyers. I recently was on an airplane to Tanzania, and when I was on that airplane to Tanzania, there was only 4 black individuals in that airplane, and I wondered where's this flight going to? It's going to Tanzania, of course, but there were so many foreign nationals in that airplane. So Nigeria needs to go back to the basic to market first, setting simple, policies in place, simplifying bogus systems that we have in Nigeria, making the system more attractive to whether you're a diaspora, whether you're a European, wherever you're from, to making this country more attractable for international investors to come and bring in their foreign currency into this country. And finally, on the other nutshell, you see, international countries don't do so much things so fantastically, right? And Nigeria doesn't do it either. But we need to learn to market and brand our nation. We need to market our brand, our nation. We need to be very positive about the good things Nigeria needs to have. It needs to be in the forefront of the international community, on the international market, so that these people internationally can look and say, you know what, I can go to Lagos and I can buy a land, or Manila is not going to take land from me. I can go to Edo State and buy a land, and no one is going to come and make me sell that, buy that land 3 more times. So the system needs to be simplified. Nigeria needs to market, and again, go back to the core basics which I spoke about. Credibility and reputation is very, 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 very paramount.
We're walking through some very rough patch this time. I'm sure in terms of exchange rate, inflation, interest rates, fuel subsidy removal, whatever it is, the whole conundrum. So are there strategies for investment at this time to make money in the real estate market? You've made money. Show me how to make money, even on that is very difficult time in the Nigeria real estate. I'm not living in the television business anytime yet, but just give me an idea, something by the sides.
Well, I think the average home buyer or the average home developer needs to see beyond just developing the land and selling it to the end user. In England, where I'm from, real estate blossom as a market. England, the English community, or rather the English economy, real estate is one of the core, economic factors that increases, the British GDP. Now, as Nigeria, we need to look at just beyond developing the land, building multiple flats for people to live in. We need to look for how can we commercialize, residential real estate, and how can we generate further income. So I'll give an example. In England, I own a property. I buy that property and I have a mortgage on it. So there is less financial input on it. The tenant pays me rent. I pay the mortgage. Then I generate a profit. So there are basic things that just needs, you need to put in place in Nigeria. So, for example, there needs to be loan or mortgages available to those who wants to buy, so that they have less capital investment into that. So that will bring and drive in multiple people buying more assets and creating that lucrative cash flow month out for real estate developers, and as well as creating more wealth and putting more wealth in the hands of civil servants, professionals, or other government, agencies who are, other government staffs who are working to be able to own assets. That's number one. Number two is that in England, if I was to take a house and I need to get a secured loan, the process again is very simplified. I can re-leverage one property 2 or 3 times, securing funds and acquiring the next property and actually becoming a landlord, which again gives me cash flow. So Nigeria needs to look at what is England doing right and how much more can we implement in Nigeria. So first of all, to make the home buyer become a property entrepreneur. Number two, for the banks who are in Nigeria as well to generate an income, the landlord is making money, and we have a more robust real estate market that allows, whether you're a developer, whether you're buying a property, everyone is making money.
I love that. Real Estate 101. Thank you so much for your time. And we appreciate this real-time real estate conversation. Thank you so much, Dr. Daniel Moses, CEO at Property Wealth Corporation. Thank you very much. We appreciate coming tonight.